Right, you are just in time for the KUTV Primetime News this second day of March 2022. Quite a handful of stories just for you, but first, the headlines tonight. William Ruto continues drumming up support for presidency in the United States of America. Also in politics, signing of Oka coalition agreement postponed to early next week. Kakamega governor launches construction of 6 billion Kenyan shillings energy plant set to reduce power bills. And internationally, EU grants safe haven to nationals including Kenyans fleeing humanitarian crisis in Ukraine. Thank you for choosing us right here. Moses Gitonga is on the sign language docket. My name is Stanley Nyaringita. On to our first story of the bulletin. The Kenya Presidential Debates 2022 have been announced by the Kenya Media Owners Association, the Kenya Media Council and the Kenya Editors Guild in an agreement with political parties ahead of the August polls. The three parties decided to take a collaborative, all-inclusive approach to the process and appointed Clifford Machoka, currently head of External Affairs and Marketing, Nation Media Groups, as the head of the Presidential Debates Secretariat. Machoka will oversee a multi-institutional team charged with involving political party partners and stakeholders in the election process, as well as organizing the presidential and deputy presidential debates in 2022. He will be aided by MCK's Leo Mutisia and the Kenya Editors Guild CEO Roselia Omungo. A live audience from diverse segments of society will be present during the debate, and the public will have a platform to submit questions. Specific dates as well as the location and logistics will be revealed at a later date, according to the institutions. Right now, let's dive into political matters. And Deputy President Dr. William Ruto has said democracy and inclusion should be fundamental pillars of elections, more so in Kenya in the forthcoming polls. Addressing a gathering of religious leaders at Loyola University in Maryland, the Deputy President underscored the need for citizens to be given space to chart their own political destiny without interference.
Deputy President Dr. William Ruto continued with his series of engagements in the United States of America. On his third day in the States, the Deputy President met religious leaders at Loyola University, Maryland, where he reiterated that democracy should be a guiding principle of any election process.
Our economy has been captured and curtailed and brokered and become exclusionist. And that's why our push is that we must democratize our economy, make it inclusive, bring everybody on board, and ensure that nobody is left behind.
In a veiled support for his bottom-up economic model and the hustler narrative, the Deputy President said it is imperative that politics be an all-inclusive exercise where citizens feel involved in major decisions affecting them.
Dr. Ruto described Kenya as a nation of hustlers, those struggling to make ends meet in an economy that isn't always working for them. So it is fitting to me that he would choose as one of his first stops on his tour in America, the city of Baltimore, which is, I think we can all agree, also a city of hustlers.
In what is seen as a jibe at President Uhuru Kenyatta, especially on his decision to throw support behind the Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Odinga, the Deputy President said citizens should not be coerced through intimidations to vote in a particular manner.
We want to make our choices without being choreographed or chaperoned or blackmailed or intimidated.
Ruto sought partners and support of his international friends in his campaign activities in the run-up to the 2022 general elections. Henry Tende, KUTV.
Thank you, Tende, for that. Now, let's take you through the coverage of what is happening in Ukraine before we go back to politics. And as the Russian aggression to Ukraine entered day 7, Russia continued its attacks on Ukrainian cities with a lengthy convoy of Russian tanks and other vehicles advancing toward the capital city of Kyiv. European Union, EU member states have granted unrestricted access to Ukrainians and other nationals escaping Ukraine, including Kenyans.
With the intensified advancement of Russian troops into Ukraine since the 7th day of its invasion, the EU member states have waived entry requirements and granted unrestricted access to nationals escaping Ukraine, including Kenyans. DP Dr. William Ruto, speaking in Maryland in the US, condemned the recent reports of discrimination of Africans evacuating from Ukraine since Russia launched an invasion.
Who gets rescued first, you know? And even in a situation of war, it's mind-boggling that people can still have the space to practice racism.
Western nations have vowed to support Ukraine against Russian aggression. In his State of Union address, US President Joe Biden criticized Russian President Vladimir Putin for repeatedly rejecting diplomatic talks with Ukraine.
Putin's latest attack on Ukraine was premeditated and totally unprovoked. He rejected repeated efforts at diplomacy. He thought the West and NATO wouldn't respond. He thought he could divide us at home, in this chamber, in this nation. He thought he could divide us in Europe as well. But Putin was wrong.
President Biden praised the spirit of the Ukrainian fighters and said that his administration will continue to provide military, economic, and humanitarian support in the coming weeks.
Together with our allies, we're providing support to the Ukrainians in their fight for freedom. Military assistance, economic assistance, humanitarian assistance. We're giving more than $1 billion of direct assistance to Ukraine, and will continue to aid the Ukrainian people as they defend their country and help ease their suffering.
With Russia seemingly not giving up on pursuing her interests in Ukraine, the international community is putting more efforts in the intervention with the anticipation that freedom will triumph over tyranny. Omondi Otieno, KUTV.
Right, thank you, Omondi, for that. Is it Ukraine or Ukraine? I feel like it's the whole potato kind of thing. Anyway, back to politics. Principals of the One Kenya Alliance coalition have today postponed the signing of a coalition agreement, which is scheduled for Wednesday, the 2nd of March, to a later date. The principals, however, maintain that they are still committed to a unity of purpose, solidarity, and commitment with the people of Kenya to build a just, inclusive, and prosperous Kenya ahead of the August polls.
One Kenya Alliance, in a statement read by NAK Kenya's Martha Karua, postponed the signing of a coalition agreement due to what was termed as emerging legal issues that had arisen and that needed to be polished before the coalition agreement is signed.
We were to sign our coalition agreement today, but we have postponed to polish certain legal issues that have arisen. Nevertheless, we are committed to our unity, and in a few days we will be letting you know the time we shall sign the agreement.
While addressing the media earlier today, Karua said OKA was open to honest, open and transparent negotiations with other parties for purposes of forging a solid, like-minded alliance that would help the coalition achieve its objective of forming the next government.
We still are open to receive other parties that we are talking to into the OKA coalition and to building coalition with other Kenyans.
The KANU chief, however, assured Kenyans that legal minds are working on the document with a promise that the ball may roll early next week.
We're happy to report that the best legal minds are now working on it and have assured us that by this week it will be over and we'll be good to go early next week.
Kalonzo Musyoka, the other quarter of Oka, had on Tuesday said that the coalition agreement would give the formation official status as the team continues to reach out to other parties for a pact ahead of the August polls, besides ruling out the possibility of Oka teaming up with Ruto's UDA. Seth Wasike, KUTV.
Thank you for that, Seth Osike. Moving on, the 9-day Azimio la Umoja tour kicked off in Nakuru County today, led by presidential aspirant Raila Odinga. The convoy had stopped over Zin, Molo, Tuli, Elbagon and Njoro before entering Nakuru town. In his speech today, Odinga promised to bring about an economic revolution in Kenya, pointing out that Kenya had lagged behind in terms of economic development. He aims to achieve this through smart agriculture, value addition, processing and exporting. Odinga also promised to revive the commercial timber trade, saying that the journey to revolution had just begun in Nakuru. Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula has called on President Uhuru Kenyatta, accusing him of playing tribal politics while referring to the Sagana 3 meeting. The Ford Kenya party leader accused the head of state for using mother tongue to address Kenyans present in the meeting.
Kisii County has today played a host to the Ruto-led Kenya Kwanza coalition that made a comeback in the region, perhaps to affirm the support of their presidential bid. The leaders took to stage to condemn President Uhuru for going against the wishes of Kenyans by playing tribal politics.
Kenya Kwanza hatutaki mambo ya ukabila. Ndiyo sisi tulikemea President Uhuru juzi alipoita watu Sagana na anaenda kwa national TV kuongea lugha ya mama.
The leaders also took the moment to urge the head of state to retire peacefully and use his remaining term to thank the people of Kenya for electing him for the 2 terms.
Mr. President, we are requesting you, the 4 months that are remaining, come to Kisii, thank the people of Kisii for electing you twice and tell them goodbye. Go to Nyanza, tell them goodbye. Go to the coast, tell them goodbye. Go to Northeastern, tell them goodbye.
South Mugirango constituency member of parliament Silvanus Osoro warned the head of state against becoming the campaign manager of the Azimio bandwagon.
Sema wewe utakuwa manager wa campaign ya Raila Odinga. Unajua ukikuwa manager wa campaign na mimi tutatosana. Na mimi sitaki kubishana na wewe ni rais. Wewe jiweke kando kwa sababu ukiingia kwa campaign mimi utakuwa umekuwa kijana ya mkono ya Raila. Na mimi ni kijana ya mkono ya Ruto. Kwa hivyo mimi nitajibu wewe. Na mimi sitaki kujibu rais.
As it emerges, it is a tussle up for the Kenya Kwanza coalition as they prepare to face off with other presidential aspirants in the August polls. Seth Wasike, KUTV.
Nairobi gubernatorial hopeful Richard Ngatia has said he is the best candidate to fix Nairobi's problems and lead the city to prosperity given his track record at the helm of the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry as its president. He also declared that he has business networks ready to invest in the city's infrastructure and industrial development while asking SME owners to support his gubernatorial bid at a meeting held in Nairobi.
Najua kuna wengine ambaye tuko kwa hii safari ya hii mashindano ya ugavana, lakini nimewauliza mara mingi kila mtu aseme amefanyia wananchi ya Kenya ama wananchi ya Nairobi nini. Waseme wamefanya kazi gani.
Enough of politics for now. We are taking a short break. Coming up after the break, an education report by George Mapesa and other stories. Stay tuned for that.
KUTV, in conjunction with Kenyatta University Funeral Home, is now offering death announcements immediately following on news bulletins at 7 p.m. At this sorrowful time, as you share in your grief, allow us to communicate your announcement of your loved one on KUTV in both Kiswahili and English. For more details, kindly inquire at the KU Funeral Home Service Desk or call 0736 928 380 or dial 020 359 9054.
Mwenyezi Mungu mwanzo kuna mambo ambayo kwamba ameharamisha kufanywa ndani yake, hususan katika hiyo miezi minne, Rajab ikiwa mmoja wao, vile vile mwezi wa Muharram ambao kwamba ndio mwezi wa kwanza, kisha Dhulqaada, alafu na mwezi wa Dhulhijja. Sasa Mwenyezi Mungu ameharamisha watu kufanya mambo ya haramu katika mwezi wa Rajab. Vile vile Mwenyezi Mungu aliharamisha watu kupigana katika mwezi wa Rajab. Vile vile Mwenyezi Mungu aliharamisha watu kumwaga damu katika mwezi wa Rajab.
Right, 16 minutes past the top of the hour. You're watching KUTV Primetime News. Let's continue updating you more. And the competency-based curriculum, CBC, has not been without challenges since its implementation in 2019. However, some teachers and parents are now familiar with the curriculum and they want it to remain in place despite fights from politicians voting to scrap it. George Mapesa now reports.
4 years down the line since its implementation, the competence-based curriculum has been with challenges from the parents and teachers as stakeholders in the education sector try to change the public perspective towards the curriculum. Today we had a chance to receive views from some teachers and parents who had converged at Delphian Junior Primary School for graduation that had different views on why the CBC should remain in place.
When CBC was started, I think most the teachers, the parents were not for it. They thought it was a challenge because the curriculum really changed, because here it became the system that we have to provide a lot of materials, we have to do practical, we have to go out the field, like when it comes to practicals.
Some Kenya Kwanza leaders, led by the ANC Damsalem Davadi, had their opinion to change the curriculum, citing high expenditure to the parents. However, some parents and teachers claim that they are now used to the curriculum and they want it to remain in place.
Like us teachers, we don't want to spoon feed these children. We want them to do on their own. So for me, the CBC, it's good to go on with the CBC because it is helping the children to be knowledgeable.
They claim CBC has opened up their children contrary to the outgoing 844 curriculum.
Mimi sioni haja itolewe. Wacha tu tuwe responsible as parents. Let us just commit ourselves to our children.
However, transition of the grade 6 class under the CBC curriculum to junior secondary schools early next year seeks to cement the curriculum. George Mapesa, KUTV.
Many thanks for that report, Mapesa. Moving on, the banditry situation in Baringo remains a cause for concern after Form 3 student was shot dead at Sinoni area in Baringo South days to the start of KCPE exams. Laban Kibet, who was schooling at Tuyo Teach Mixed Secondary School in Mochongoi Ward, met his death on his way to inspect his father's cattle before he was ambushed by bandits who were hiding in the thickets of Sinoni. Interior CS Fred Matiang'i had promised an intense 14 days operation to start in the area, which up to date has not started, with the Education Ministry pledging security for the students. Now, more than 10 schools have closed in the area of a spate of attacks, with the national exams set to kick off next week.
Tutaendelea kuishi namna gani? Mambo ya KCB sasa, KCB inaanza riaso Juma, na tunaona mambo ya watoto wetu itaribika. Hatujui usalama itakaa namna gani. Sasa tunaomba security wakuje kwa wingi.
Sasa hii tuko na mashaka sana. Hata yani tunafikiria hata kuhama tena juu au watu kumbe wanatufuata kila mara.
Mpaka saa hii kabisa nikijaribu kuimagine tangu ile wakati yenye serikali walitangaza operation. Sasa wale wengine wamesidi na mashambulizi. Kifo baada ya kifo.
Sasa mimi nataka niulize Matiang'i, yani ulituita mkutano kutuenjoy. Yani surely uliita viongozi ya North Rift kwa mkutano kutuenjoy kwamba kutakuwa na operation, na hawa Pokot wako hapa hawataki kuhama na wanaua watu wetu. wametuua hapa Mochongoi, sasa wameua watu kule kwingine na wanaendelea kuishi, wako na ng'ombe yao, hawana haraka.
Ningeomba serikali ikuje iangalie hii maneno ya insecurity. Juu hata kama sasa watu wakisumbuliwa, hata sisi kwa barabara tutasumbuliwa.
Indeed, we do really hope that a hasty solution will be looked into that. Moving on, Chief Justice Martha Koome has launched a small claims court to serve Machakos and Makueni counties as part of the judiciary efforts to bring services closer to the people. The court will conduct its sittings in Makueni County with a sub-registry for virtual court and e-filing support being maintained at the Machakos locals in efforts to enhance to justice. According to the Chief Justice, one of the benefits of the small claims courts is to reduce backlogs from main courts. This is in line with the judiciary's vision of developing 100 small claims courts across the country by the end of 2022. Kakamega County Governor Wycliffe Oparanya has launched the construction of a 6 billion Kenyan shillings energy from waste plant in Mumia sub-county. The plant will recycle waste from the county and transform it into power that will be distributed throughout the region.
Residents of Kakamega County have a reason to smile as the Governor Wycliffe Oparanya launched the project of a plant which will help recycle waste gathered across the county and convert it into electricity. The produced energy will be distributed throughout the county, reducing electricity costs.
One key advantage to the waste-to-energy plant is not just in providing low-carbon energy and zero waste, but potential negative carbon contribution towards climate change mitigation targets, in line with the Kenya's commitment to the Paris Climate Agreement of November 2016.
The governor regretted that it had taken over 7 years to actualize the idea of constructing the plant, but assured the residents that it will take 9 months to complete it.
The project, as discussed by the investor, will generate 10 megawatts of electricity, which will contribute towards cheaper source of energy, minimize on waterborne and respiratory infections arising from solid waste.
He reiterated that the plant will help the country address the challenge of garbage disposal, which has been a thorny issue to his government. Kakamega is the first county in the country to implement a waste energy recycling project. The plant is a great solution to garbage burden in the country and beyond, and will ensure a clean environment. Reporting for KUTV, I am Aida Kivenji.
Right now, let's take a look at what is trending in the sporty world. Africa's fastest man, Ferdinand Omanyala, is set to be the star attraction of the 3rd Athletics Kenya, a K-Track and Field weekend meeting in Nairobi on March 4th and 5th. The 8th fastest man in the world confirmed that he'll be running at the Nyayo Stadium before heading to Serbia for the 18th World Athletics Indoor Championships slated for March 18th and 20th. He urged fans to come out in large numbers and enjoy the event. Muthaiga Golf Club will play host to the 2022 edition of the Magical Kenya Open, which will take place from the 3rd to the 6th of March. The European Tour will see 156 golfers, not only from Kenya but across the world, compete for the top spot. Safaricom has so far sponsored 16 million Kenyan shillings that will cater for internet connectivity, communication support in the form of devices and airtime, and a junior golfers clinic. And across the borders, Middlesbrough produced another FA Cup shock to extend Tottenham's